Welcome to the TAC Health Huddle. We are so excited for you all to be here. We will be talking about eating healthy in a food desert. So my name is Michelle Gifford. I am the wellness consultant for the Northeast Territory. And with me, I have Tasha Brent, and she is the wellness consultant for the East Territory. And then we've got Birol Patel, who is also a wellness consultant for the South Territory. All right.
All right, awesome. Can everyone hear us good? Let us know in the chat. Perfect. Okay, and Birol is moderating, so she's going to be answering questions in the chat as we go through. So as Michelle said, we're so glad that y'all all joined us today, and we are going to get started.
Yeah, let's do it.
So as we go through this, some things that you can expect to take away is understanding what a food desert is and how it affects communities, especially those of us that live in rural Texas, recognizing some of the health and socioeconomic consequences of having limited food access, and also apply some practical strategies to overcome barriers and improve healthy food access. So real quickly, we'll just define a food desert. That's when you have healthy foods that are hard to access or they may be too expensive. So this could be if you live in an area that doesn't have close access to a supermarket or a grocery store. It could also be if you have affordable food is limited, or maybe you don't have the transportation to get to food or nearby stores that can carry fresh produce, whole grains, and lean proteins. So this could be possible if you, like myself, I live about 15 miles from the closest grocery store. So if I didn't have access to transportation to get to the grocery store or have the opportunity to go into town, as we say often, that's an example of a food desert. It could be if you live in a very urban area, but you don't live close to a grocery store as well, to have access to those nutrients that you need. And opposite of that is kind of like a food swamp, right? So like a high concentration of fast food and processed options. So it's a little bit different. It's more about lack of stores and what those stores offer. So it could be convenience stores, like I mentioned, a lot of fast food stores. So there might be plenty of places to buy food, but a lot of those choices are very unhealthy and you're not getting the nutrients that you need. Dollar stores are another good example. I know my dad lives in a small town also, only just a couple of, maybe a mile and a half from a Dollar General. But again, you're not really able to get a lot of those nutritious foods that you need there. So
yeah, no, I agree. I live probably just a couple miles from a Dollar General, and there's a lot of gas stations. So I would say the closest grocery store is about 20 minutes into town with a ton of traffic. So I can absolutely relate to that food swamp. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how you can think about the differences in the access to food, where you are able to either get food but not the nourishment that you need, or just not having access to even get to that food that you need. Another term that we're going to discuss, just to have a clear transparency of kind of what this could look like, is food insecurity. So whereas food insecurity is the lack of consistent access to healthy food, it's not always because you live too far. You could live right next to a grocery store and just not be able to afford the things that are inside. So food insecurity is a little bit different than a food desert. And it just means that you don't have consistent access or resources, whether it be financial, physical, or social means to obtain the foods that you need just to have a healthy life. So more so, it's about the access to nutritious food and the ability to receive it. So the real issue, basically, is when nutritious food isn't accessible or affordable, it can affect more than your meals. It's going to affect your health. So food deserts aren't just about missing grocery stores. It's more about missing the nutrition. And so today we're going to connect the dots about food access And we're going to talk about some of those long-term health outcomes when you are burdened by living in a food desert.
Yeah.
So, in food deserts, people may find calories, like we mentioned, everywhere. You might have access to those convenience stores, McDonald's, Texas Burger's a big one in rural Texas, Whataburger, uh, gas stations, dollar stores. There might be access to food, but it's, again, like I mentioned, the nutrients that are missing. You're going to want to have access to those protein, fibers, minerals, vitamins, all of those things that you need to support a healthy immune system, a healthy body function, whether it be physical, mental, or emotional. So we want to make sure that we are understanding how to have access to all of those things that we need to support a healthy lifestyle.
Those macronutrients are so important. And I'm excited. Tasha's going to talk about that connection between gut health, mind health, all that kind of stuff. But those macronutrients are something we're really going to hone in on today.
Yes, for sure. It's really important that you understand that food isn't just like something that we eat, right? It's more fuel for your body. So when we think about food, um, just to get through the day, I want you to really focus on the types of food that we're eating, because calories really, make a difference in how you're receiving them. So you can get 1,000 calories and feel like you're full, but those 1,000 calories might not be what you need to make your body function properly. So, calories are going to get you through the day, but they're not going to get you through life if you're not getting the right kind of calories.
Right. I like to think of it as, so I had a previous colleague talk about pretending it's money, like your calories are money. So you have 1,000 calories equivalent to $1,000. How are you spending that $1,000? Is it quality, or is it just your recklessly
Quantity.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how I kind of think of it as well. So how am I spending those calories? Is it foods that are going to be full of nutrition, or is it just kind of the foods that I'm craving, or I think I want, or I may be bored, or something like that?
Yeah, for sure. And whenever
Mhm.
we eat those foods that we're craving,
Yes.
our body is going to want more of those.
Right.
So as we mentioned, your body depends on these nutrients to function, repair, and protect itself. So when our nutrient needs go unmet, and this isn't just for a week, like you might have a bad day or a bad week and just things are kind of off track. But when they go unmet for months, years, the body starts to respond, not with hunger, because you're getting, like I said, you're getting the calories, so you might not be hungry, but eventually, this is what looks like chronic disease. This is what turns into chronic disease. Because when your daily options are monthly or like mostly processed foods, packaged, high sugar, high fat foods, you're actually not getting what you need. And it doesn't just affect your next meal, it's going to affect your blood pressure, your heart, it's going to affect your blood sugar, your kidney function, your metabolism, and even your brain. So, we're going to talk a lot about that and look at how that nutrition gap is actually producing in the body and in our communities. So, this is actually what nutrient deficiency looks like in the body. So, protein is going to impact your immune function and your mood. Fiber affects blood sugar and heart health. Vitamins and healthy fats are going to support brain function and hormones. And those highly processed foods actually increase inflammation. And so, like I said, it's not the lack of food, it's the lack of the right food. So, we're going to want to make sure that we're looking at all of these things. And Michelle's actually going to talk about how you can determine if you're getting these macronutrients and these micronutrients in your diet to help make sure that you are giving yourself the best things that you need. I like to think of the body as a machine, right? And so you're not going to put diesel in a gas engine. So you want to make sure that you're putting the right fuel in your system so that you're going to get the best function for your machine. Your body is a perfect machine. Sometimes, of course, sickness happens, disease does happen, but your body is designed to be a perfect machine and run on the proper fuel. And so when you understand how your body works, how your hormones and your metabolism works, you can understand how to properly fuel that and make sure that you're feeling the best.
Yeah, and your body will let you know when something's off too, just like your car would with that little red thing
Check
that
engine light.
yes, I'm old thing. Yeah, I pay attention to that, but yeah, your body is just it knows when something's going on and it can heal from that based on what you're fueling it with.
Yeah. So when nutrient intake is consistently low, the body's not going to fail all at once, right? Like everything's not going to shut down. Just wake up one day and be like, oh, I had too many hamburgers. It must be, time to reset. It's really going to be like a domino effect. So you might not even realize it immediately, like what's going on. And actually, the brain's going to be one of the first things that is impaired because the brain is the part of your body that absorbs the most nutrients. And so you're going to think about this as like your mood focus, and it could be anxiety as well. So when you start to have irritability, lack of focus, there can be a really big impact to your lifestyle. And you might think it's stress or it's something else, but a lot of times it can be directly correlated to those foods and those nutrients that you are eating. And the body's going to compensate this by blood pressure rising, that inflammation's going to increase, your immune function's going to drop. So over time, like I mentioned, this is going to become chronic disease. So when your nutrition drops, your brain struggles, your body compensates, and in the long term, you're going to have some really big health declines. So we're talking about the increased risk for all of these things when nutrition fails, right? When we don't have access to getting those proper nutrients that we need, whether it be, that we don't have a convenient lifestyle to cook the appropriate foods that we want, or we don't have access to those foods because it's so far to get to the grocery store and we don't know what to buy, or the fruits and vegetables go bad so fast. So we want to make sure that we're eating enough to still be nourished and get the nutrients that we need, because if we don't have all of those nutrients, we are raising our risks and our rates of chronic disease. That could be diabetes, heart disease, hypertension. So you want to make sure that you're eating enough and getting all of those nutrients that you need. As I mentioned before, the brain consumes more nutrients than any other organ. And so especially if you have children at home, teenagers, you want to really think about the impact of nutrition on mental and cognitive function. So adults actually experience anxiety and mood disruption. And if you have teenagers, they can experience emotional irregularity or, irregularity. You can think about this as like, oh, they're just, it's hormones.
Right.
And we all have teenagers.
Yeah.
So, it's their hormones. Well, you know what's affected by hormones?
Yeah.
Yeah, nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's directly correlated. So if your nutrition is not in balance, then your hormones are definitely not going to be. So if we want to make sure that we are, keeping them from being
teenagers, for the most part,
let's make sure that they're getting the nutrients that they need.
Right.
And I do this every day. And my middle child is 12. And I cooked dinner the other night and he ate all of his food. He went back for seconds. I don't even remember what I made now, but then he was like still hungry. And so he goes to the pantry and he gets like Nutella and pretzels and he comes back and eats all of that. And then before I know it, I look up and he's popping a bag of popcorn. And I'm like, well, at least he was getting his whole grain.
Right. And a little protein too.
So yeah, he's, like they eat a lot.
Sure.
So if they're not eating the proper nutrients, then they're definitely going to be especially moody and especially irritable because, that's the time where their brain's developing the most and
Right.
they need the proper nutrients. So we want to make sure that we're getting those
Yeah.
teenagers the proper foods and making sure that they understand the food and body connection.
And they feel it. I think really too that kids and adults also, you'll feel that connection. You'll feel the healing properties of nutritious foods. I can say personally, so I manage my anxiety. I don't know how well, but I manage it.
You're doing great.
Thank you, thank you. You don't see me below the desk. I'm like, but I have to make sure too that I'm not eating a lot of sugar because that
Mhm.
will really exacerbate my anxiousness. And I was going to ask you, is there a connection between, or has there been any kind of research that says there might be a connection between ADHD and what you're eating? Because I'll just say before you answer, my child's doctor said, "Oh, make sure that your son doesn't eat a lot of sugar because he's diagnosed with ADHD." So do you think there is?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of clinical research that has a connection between nutrition and ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do have children that are especially inattentive or hyperactive,
Mm-hmm.
mm, you know, obviously, have that conversation, but make sure that you are teaching them and explaining to
Mm-hmm.
them,
Yeah.
the function of food in the body because it really is important.
Right.
Those
Yeah.
nutrients, like I mentioned, is the fuel that your body needs to make sure that everything is firing in the right ways. There can always be, circumstances where it could be related to some other factors,
Right.
but definitely the one thing that I think is one of the easiest things besides walking,
Yeah.
free
Yeah.
physical activity
Right.
that we have control over is the foods that we eat.
Absolutely.
It does take intention, but there is a very big correlation between nutrition and ADHD in
Mm-hmm.
children. And so I, even lack of nutrition with children can also cause delays in development and focus as well. So there definitely is a lot to be said for making sure that we're raising our
Right.
kids and teaching our kids the proper ways to eat. Because I also like to think of it as if we are if we're not teaching them now when they're little, like they're going to grow up and it's going to be so hard to make that behavior change as an adult. So, one thing that I do, and I don't know if I was going to talk about this later,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll just mention it now. At home in my household, we have obviously a pantry, and pantry snacks is what I
Mm-hmm.
call them. That's going to be your processed foods. Um, I always make sure that I have fruits and vegetables on hand, and then I have just a little tray in the bottom of the pantry if the kids are going to pack their lunch, and they can have one pantry snack, and I only put a few down, and I hide the rest of them. I don't really hide them. My
We
kids
just,
know like
yeah.
the rules, and if I catch them getting it, like we're just not going to have pantry snacks. But I put them up away so they can't get to them, and I always say you have to pack or you have to eat all of the fruits before I buy more pantry snacks. So they'll pack like 2 oranges or a bag of strawberries with their lunch, or they'll eat that before they get a pantry snack because they know if I see them in the pantry and there's strawberries going bad in the
Uh-oh.
fridge, pantry snacks are going away. So that's one way that I make sure that my children are
Yeah.
getting their fruits and vegetables because they do appreciate, having a Chips Ahoy every now and then. But we're going to get the
Yeah.
bananas and we're going to get
Yeah.
the apples and the berries.
Yeah, they sure do. And this is great for when we talk later on about involving the family, excuse me, involving the family in meal planning too. So she's ahead of the game here.
Yeah. It all ties together. So
It
you're going to
does.
see it's like a full
It
circle.
really is.
Um, but there's also a strain on the healthcare system.
Hmm.
Kind of back into that living in a food desert or having limited access to healthy and nutritious foods. Not only does it interfere and impact our personal life and our personal health, but it's actually going to impact the healthcare system as well. So. It could be an increase in healthcare utilization, and of course, that reduced quality of life. So we're going to see more ER visits. As I mentioned before, limited or reduced immune system, people are going to get sicker more. Do you know how much of your immune system is
Don't,
stored through your gut?
gosh, I think I read 70, 80
Yeah,
ish
like
percent.
yeah, it could be up to 80% of your
Wow.
immune system is stored
Can you
in your
believe
gut.
that? That's amazing.
Yeah, so if you're eating foods that are not supporting a healthy,
Yeah.
like balanced diet, that
Mm.
inflammation, that gut health is going to be interfered, and therefore your immune system isn't going to function the way that it's supposed to. So you're going to get sicker quicker. Um,
That reminds me of like when I was in college. I always noticed during a certain time of the year, finals time, always ate terrible, got no sleep, was stressed out, et cetera, et cetera. I was always sick and got very, very sick at one point. But now that all just makes sense of having the immune system, like it just, yeah,
Dysfunction. It's complete
complete. Yeah. So,
complete
yeah.
dysfunction.
Wow.
So yeah, when your immune system is impaired,
Mhm.
that is going to,
Oh gosh, it hinders every aspect of your life.
yeah,
Absolutely.
and the healthcare
Yeah.
system,
Yeah.
because everybody else is the same
Yeah.
situation,
Right.
especially in those stressful times of year, like
Mhm.
the holidays. And you want to
Mhm.
make sure that, you know, this is a busy time. It's a busy season. So you're going to want to make sure that you
Mhm.
are doing
Yeah.
everything that you need to prevent that. And not just for you, but for people coming into your homes, as well. They might have compromised immune systems because of lack of, a supportive,
Right.
balanced lifestyle. So again, higher hospital readmissions, slower recovery, and of course, higher medical costs. When you're going to the doctor more, those costs are going to raise, and that's not just for you, like your out-of-pocket expenses, but these are higher medical costs in the system to your health plan.
Your
Uh,
medications. Yeah.
Medications, everything's going to increase, which again is going to
Yeah.
interfere with your quality of life because now you're having to spend money that you might not have in order to take better care of yourself. So, um, these are all things that can be shaped just
Mhm.
by limited access to
Yeah.
nutrition. So
Yeah.
it's not just how you feel today, it really
Right.
has a bigger factor. And so I like to say that access determines outcomes.
Mm.
When
Mhm.
when you don't have access, it's going to really limit a lot of things. So
Yeah.
Michelle is
Yeah.
going to talk about a lot of the strategies that you can kind of try to fit into your lifestyle, some easy strategies. I say easy and not, everything is hard,
Right.
honestly. Everything takes intention, but there's some small little steps, maybe one or two things that you can do here,
Mm.
before moving to a bigger step. So really,
Yeah.
it's not just food access that is a health issue. It's it's where some,
Mhm.
it's all, like I said, full
It's a
circle.
comprehensive.
Um,
Yeah.
but where you live shouldn't determine, how well you live. And so
I know.
let's dive
Yeah.
into some
Yeah.
strategies that
Okay.
are going to help us overcome some food access issues now that we understand the
Yeah.
impact and what it looks like.
Let's
I'm
do
going to let you
this.
control.
All right. Okay. So, where do we start? So this is such good information as far as like laying down the foundation of nutrition and what to choose. So now that we have an idea of the macronutrients, your complex carbs, your lean proteins, your healthy fats, what do we do now? So let's start at shopping. And it doesn't mean like we need to go to HEB or anything big like that. It could be really anywhere. So, even if your grocery stores are limited, like we mentioned, how far you live from one, how far I live from one, there are ways to help stretch healthy options. So, explore all of your local resources. So, even visiting small stores, and we'll talk about how to pick the healthier of the healthiest of what you've got there. Dollar stores, there's gas stations. So I know you go into a gas station, they do have some of the whole fruits up at the cashier, which I'm very impressed with that.
2 bananas for $1.
I know, I mean, you can't get that anywhere, okay? So stock up on that. Oranges, apples, sometimes they even give them to you. I've had it where they're like, do you want it? I'm like, well, yeah, does anybody else want it? No. So I was like, heck yes. And so many of them, they carry basics like canned vegetables. So even like in a gas station, even in a dollar store, even in a Dollar General, they do have canned vegetables. I've seen that. Some will have brown rice and frozen items.
Yeah.
Okay, so buy basics in bulk when it's possible. So I remember that when I lived in Indiana for a very short time frame. You didn't know I lived in Indiana, did you? In Southern Indiana?
didn't.
No. Very, very short time frame though. I would have to drive from my home all the way to the border of Kentucky, Louisville. So I would go to Sam's Club and
Oh, yes.
yeah, once a month and then buy everything in bulk when I could. Not everybody has a Sam's Club or a Costco or anything like that.
Or a big pantry.
Or yeah, true. Oh, we didn't have one. We had to put them in cabinets too. So, but items like oats, rice, beans, lentils are very inexpensive. They're filling because they're high in fiber and the macronutrients, and they can last for months. So that's a really great option. Buy the largest bag you can, and that you can afford, and then portion it out later. So another option though too is to shop strategically. How many times have you gone to a grocery store with no list and I'm like, oh my God, everything looks great. Dude, I've had that happen so many times.
This is my own hack, and it's not like the most affordable thing.
Mhm.
But I am the world's worst about even having a list and just going rogue in the grocery store. So I actually started shopping or like ordering HelloFresh.
Mhm. Oh
And
yeah.
it's expensive.
Yeah.
It's like $10 per serving.
Okay.
And I have 3 children, so I do 2 servings with 3 meals a month or a week.
Okay.
So it's $60
Okay.
for 3 meals. So it sounds kind of expensive, but I get the servings for two, and I just portion it. I cook it and then I add to it. So if it's like a pork bowl, I'll have some egg rolls, or I'll make something to go with it so that the entree splits between my whole family.
Lasts a little longer.
So I
Yeah.
can feed 4 people for $20 a day, which is cheaper than
I
even
was gonna
going
say,
to
yeah.
McDonald's,
Mhm.
because I can't do that even at McDonald's.
No.
So I do save money, and
Right.
what it saves me money is because one of our biggest grocery stores in my small town is Walmart, and so if I go to Walmart to go to the grocery store, I'm getting way more stuff than groceries.
Oh yeah.
And so my HelloFresh actually keeps me out of the grocery store buying those things that I don't need, or the things that are going to die in my fridge because I bought them and I don't have time to cook what they are. So HelloFresh gives me what I need plus the recipe, and it's super quick and simple, and that's my hack. It's not for everyone,
Sure.
but I even
It's
got
great.
my dad on HelloFresh.
Nice.
And he's in his 70s and he loves it.
That's
So
awesome.
you can end up going rogue at the grocery store and buying a bunch
Yes.
of things that you're never going to cook. So
Right. I do that all the time. It just sits in the drawer and I'm like, what's that smell? I get to that point. So I love that. And if you're not able to, that's totally fine. Putting a list together as if you were getting meals from HelloFresh can also help, but it really does help avoid those impulse buys and knowing how to shop a grocery store. Do you know the strategy behind shopping at a grocery store?
Oh, outside aisles. Outside
Yes.
aisles first, because
Yes.
you want the fresh stuff.
Correct.
You stay away from the inside
Right,
aisles.
until the very end, so that hopefully your cart is full by that point.
Yes, and you already know what you're going to cook because you have
Yeah.
planned out these meals ahead of time.
You have. Yeah. See, it's all making sense. Also, too, what another great option or resource is, oh gosh, here we go with the
Just do the arrow.
just do the arrow. My first time using a computer, is how to read a nutrition label. Oh, so this is very, very helpful when you're looking. So you're at the gas station and you're like, oh gosh, okay, this is what I'm going to make tonight. Go look at the nutrition labels if you're looking at canned foods. As we have listed, there's three main areas: added sugars, sodium, and fiber and protein. So where it's highlighted on what to choose and what to look for. Added sugar, less than 10 grams, when possible, per serving. So what's on that nutrition facts label is often for just a serving size. So if you're looking at a bag of chips and you're like, oh, there's only 100 calories in this huge bag of chips, awesome. That's where a lot of it's misleading. No, they usually just give you the serving size, and that information pertains to that. Then you can look at what the servings per container, and then you got to do a little math in that. So you multiply what that says for serving size times the servings per container, and then you get the full amount. But what we need you to look at is the added sugars, the sodium. Really, really want you to look below 140 milligrams or less. And this one is just soup. Soups are usually, if you're not making it at home, soups are usually really high in salt, canned soup to preserve it. But another one is fiber and protein. Foods with 3 grams or more of fiber, which is a really great start, and then about 4 to 6 grams of protein per serving can really help you feel full longer and not overeat. But you're still with that fiber, you're getting some of those macronutrients in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so just make sure that you're looking at the can too,
Mhm.
and choosing the ones that say no salt added
Yes.
or reduced sodium
Yes.
on the can or
Yep.
on the label, so that you are, staying low on that sodium, because that really can
Hmm.
cause, a lot of spikes and,
Right.
a lot of issues.
Right. And so we're talking about how to find foods that are convenient and available to you. But, getting a lot of salt in your diet will come from processed foods, which you talked about earlier about high blood pressure.
Right.
So even if you're buying canned, absolutely try to get that low amount of salt. And I feel like sometimes you can like taste the salt in some of the foods. You're just like, whew,
Yeah.
that's a lot. So be mindful of that. Some other tricks I want y'all to know is that the ingredients are listed in order by weight. Did you know that?
Mm.
So the first three listed are the most important and means it makes up most of that food. So if you see sugar, if you see salt or any refined flour, it's less likely nutritious. So now you have an idea when you go to grocery store, Dollar General, gas stations, your local small store, when you're shopping, you're able to look at that nutrition label and understand what it means and what your ingredients, what makes up that food. All right.
Yeah, and it really comes
Yeah.
with education too, because like on bread is the big
Oh,
one.
yes.
You want to obviously limit those enriched grains.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're getting a whole wheat option, because that's going to be your higher fiber.
Mhm.
And so when you're looking at a nutrition label for bread, for example, obviously grain's going to be one of the first
Right.
ingredients, but what you're wanting to look for is to make sure that enriched is not one of those first three
Yeah.
ingredients. So you're
Yeah.
going to want to look for whole grains,
Mhm.
things like that before you see enriched, because you might be looking at one that's like 12 oats and you think this
Right.
12 oats bread is going to have whole grains for sure, but then the second ingredient is enriched grains
Yeah.
or enriched flour.
Yeah.
So it really just takes education and understanding,
And
which foods,
practice. And
yeah,
practice. Yeah.
are the best. So, just do your research, understand like what is the best fiber option.
Right.
If that's what you need more in your diet, what's the best protein options,
Mhm.
and understand how to read those nutrition labels and what that looks like for you and for your family.
Absolutely. Bread is a tricky one,
Bread
and
is-
pastas too.
Mhm.
Pastas are tricky. So another one is looking at again, just like your great leadway into
Sorry.
this. No, you're good. Choosing brown rice, oats, or 100% whole wheat when it's available. And so, sometimes you may not have a whole wheat option. What do you do in that case? You look at the nutrition labels and you try to see which one has the less amount of added sugars and more fiber, because not every store may have that as one of your options.
Mhm.
So also, those sugary cereals. I know I've been trying with my kids to get them all with this stuff, but try your hardest to get the or reduce the amount of sugary cereals that you may eat for oatmeal or eggs. Now, maybe that doesn't sound exciting, like my sugary cereal versus some plain oatmeal, but I know you were telling me you do what with your oatmeal?
I put fresh berries, nuts.
Or frozen, you said.
I do frozen, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
That's to me, it's the same.
It is.
When you put in your
One
oatmeal,
defrost.
like
It defrosts. It'll be fresh again.
Yeah, I actually add bananas or berries, strawberries. I add nuts. I add a little bit of cinnamon to my oatmeal.
Mhm.
I cannot eat soft foods. If anyone knows me, they know that I cannot eat soft foods.
Yes, she cannot.
So I add stuff to my oatmeal, but I also add, Michelle mentioned sugary cereals.
Uh-huh.
And of course, that's one of those things that's kind of hard to get away from,
It is.
especially if you have kids.
Right.
But growing up, my dad used to cut bananas up and put it in my cereal, and that was always
Okay.
really good.
I did that too.
Yeah, and so a lot of times now you can find cereal with like dried fruit in it, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Like when you pour it over with milk. But I love to add fresh fruit to my cereal or with my kids as
Yeah.
well, and they really appreciate
Yeah.
it. So
No,
that's another way that you can get your fruit in.
absolutely. So you would get, oatmeal, Or there's some of the plainer type of cereals without all that sugar. And absolutely,
Add fruit.
yeah, yeah, that's what I do too. And that 2-for-1 banana at the gas station, I'm slicing that banana up, and I use that for my oatmeal as well. And then picking frozen veggies over any kind of breaded or sauced ones. And we were saying the other day, we're like, oh my gosh, frozen fruits and vegetables are actually a lot better than what we think they are.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
So they're actually picked at the peak of freshness or ripeness. So
Mhm.
they're flash frozen and they have all of the nutrients
Yeah,
in them. Sometimes
right.
even better than what's on the shelf for fresh because
Yeah,
as those produce sit out,
yeah,
they lose nutrients, the fresh ones, the longer that they're on the shelf. So
right.
depending on, if it's in season or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, those frozen vegetables might be,
Yeah.
a really good nutrient option. Now, if you're getting like the potatoes that are covered in garlic butter and oil that's in the frozen section, that might
Yeah,
be a little bit different.
right.
But for the most part,
Yeah,
yeah, frozen vegetables are a really great option, and you don't have to really worry about the added sodium that's going to come with
yeah,
canning them.
right.
So,
Yeah, no, I love it. And then it says too, like even flavor with your own. So get the bland broccoli. Like my kids will say, "Oh my God, here we're having broccoli again," but it's a different seasoning I'm using. So spice it up a little bit. Know what your seasonings are. They don't even notice. So, but even when you're looking at canned fruits too, so canned veggies, hey, like garbanzo beans, green beans, things like that, just rinse them.
mhm,
Rinse them. Take the lid, pour it down, or get a colander and but and then frozen fruits, I'm sorry, canned fruits, what is it? Just 100% their own fruit juice or water packed in
yeah,
that. Yeah. So
stay away from the
yeah,
packed in the
high fructose corn syrup.
yeah.
Yeah, stay away from that. And we're looking at even proteins. Remember, protein is another macronutrient. Think of, oh, you have that story about chicken, but think about tuna or chicken. Just make sure it's packed in water. And there you have a really, really great source of protein as well. Yeah. So, all right, friends. And then make sure that the biggest thing is too, is that when you are doing your shopping, is that you're choosing foods in its most natural state,
Mm.
in its most natural state, most natural form. So looking for those whole fruits, veggies, eggs, grains, and beans. But again, knowing the alternative to them frozen is just as good. Rinsing or draining will help. Okay. And so really here we come down to this. So this is the heart of practical eating in food deserts. It is what meal planning is one of the most important and powerful tools for eating well on a tight budget. I did it. I was telling Tasha, I did it for years. Got a little lazy now, but I did it for years, and it really helps. I would go through recipes. I know you said you have books and all that kind of stuff
It's
too.
not, you're not lazy, Michelle. We
I
travel
got
so
a little
much.
lazy, and I'm like,
No, it's really hard. It is hard.
it is.
You have to be intentional,
You
but
do. You do.
there's tips and
There is.
Michelle's going to tell you.
And I'm going to listen to my own tips, everyone. I'm going to listen to them. And especially when food choices are limited. So, like you were saying earlier, with a little bit of structure, you can save a lot of money. You can reduce waste. So, you're making your meals last longer. And you can make healthy eating less stressful. And that's kind of where I've kind of hit that wall of, oh my gosh, I've got to cook. I've got to make sure this is nutritious, which is, yes, is what I do. But I mean, for all of us, eating healthy can be stressful,
Mhm.
and that does not do good for our body and
Mm-mm.
inflammation. So let's try to reduce some of that stress. Here we go, folks. These plates show really simple meals, more like just assembling a plate, right? A little minimal bit of cooking, but it's looking at combining proteins, your grains, a fruit or vegetable, and a healthy fat. So I'm going to take some staple foods and we're going to combine them. So looking at canned tuna, so that first picture, canned tuna, some brown rice, some green beans, and then if you got some olive oil just to kind of drizzle it, that's fantastic. Some eggs, some oats, apple slices. You're going to cook the oats though. Don't think we're saying eat the oats like that. Cook the oats. Apple slices and some peanut butter. You've got your high protein, high fiber, complex carbs, and peanut butter is a little bit of oil. Um, And then the other one is beans, corn tortilla, salsa, and either avocado or some oil. So super easy. You see where we're going with this. Staples that you can find literally anywhere, frozen or fresh, and make these new very nutritious meals. These don't have to be grand meals.
Mhm.
That you may not even consider oatmeal and apples a meal, but anytime you eat is considered a meal. So choose plant-based proteins like beans or lentils, peanut butter more often. They're a lot more nutritious and cheaper, plant-based, okay? Buy whole grains like those rice, those oats, barley, instead of refined ones like we were talking about earlier. Again, they help you feel more full, so you're not feeling like you've got to constantly eat. And then just add color. See, none of these plates are bland.
Mm-mm.
They are super colorful and have a variety of colors. So when in doubt, just aim for those 3 food groups per meal.
I love the
Yeah.
add color.
I do too.
Yes, because
I do too.
every fruit and vegetable, they have different colors, and
Yeah.
those different colors
Yeah.
actually
Yes.
identify different nutrients that
Right.
you're getting from those. So you hear like, was it like in the 90s or early to? It's probably always been said, eat a
I don't know, I'm
rainbow.
too young for that. Just
Shut
kidding.
up.
Not
Eat
really.
a rainbow. And
Yes.
the reason
Yes.
why is because like your green leafy vegetables are going to have, they're going to be high in
Mhm.
fiber. They're going to
Mhm.
have nutrients that are not going to be like in your carrots. Your carrots are going to be high in
Carotene.
beta
Yeah. Mhm.
carotene. That
Yep.
beta carotene actually turns to vitamin C in your body.
Mhm.
So, all of these nutrients do different things for your body. So fiber is going to help your regulate your digestive system. That vitamin's going to help you, with better vision, like all
Mhm.
of these things. So that's why you need to make your plate colorful
Absolutely.
and get all of the rich nutrients from the natural foods so
Yeah.
that you,
Yeah.
again, are fueling your machine.
Absolutely. And so next time, if I were to give homework today, that's what I'm going to assign y'all is to look at your plate and is it bland or are there a lot of colors? And where can you add a color? And it could be just a color a week you add. And before you know it, you may have plates that are pretty colorful. So give it a try. I know I had to do that. And after a while, I was like, oh my God, that's just like one color here. So adding it really, really does help change things up a little bit. All right. So a couple other things. So taking the first step, those small steps really help huge. So planning saves a lot of time, again, stress and money. We've learned that even if your grocery options are limited. So take stock, check your pantry, look at your freezer. What do y'all have first? Build meals around what you already have. And you can come up with some pretty creative things. What did you do the other day with the shrimp and the
Oh, it was
stir fry?
it was chicken.
Chicken.
Okay, y'all are gonna judge me, but
No.
I had a really busy day and I had gotten home late with the kids and I was looking in my pantry and I don't know if y'all have seen the reels like are you an ingredient house or what's the other one?
Uh,
Do you have an ingredient or do you come from an ingredient household or whatever?
uh,
Anyway, I have an ingredient house and so I have a lot of ingredients but not a lot of like
meals. Yeah.
things that you can just pick. And so I had one time just bought these boxes of rice-a-roni.
Love it.
I've never cooked it like in years,
Mm.
but I had been at the grocery store one day and I was like, oh, these actually look really super convenient. So I bought a box of rice-a-roni
Okay.
stir fry and
Yeah.
I found that in my pantry. And then I was like, okay, well, one tiny box of rice-a-roni is not going to feed 4
No.
people. And so I found a can of chicken that I had also bought when I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with
Right.
this, but I just want to have it in my pantry just in case.
Hmm.
And I secretly like drained the chicken because if my kids saw canned chicken, they would be like, what are you doing? And so, because they will judge me. But I'm telling you, don't knock it until you try it. I seasoned the chicken and I cooked the
Mhm.
rice-a-roni stir fry and I made chicken stir fry. They ate it up. And
Just saying.
it was super quick. I'm telling you, dinner in 15 minutes and they ate it up. So sometimes, yeah, you just have to look what you have
Yeah.
and they got their grains and we had some fruits with that and their protein. So
Protein.
it worked out. But yeah, take stock, know what you have in your
Yeah.
pantry and sometimes, just put it together. When in doubt, try it out.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna use that in future meetings. Okay. I love it. Somebody make note of that. Make a list and stick to it. We're talking about how important it is to make your list, and so you don't go into the grocery store unprepared. And then also batch cooking, really looking at preparing larger portions at once. And maybe you do it on a certain day of the week, so that you're prepared for the rest of the week. It saves a lot of time. Your time is valuable, folks. Your time is valuable. Your energy is also valuable, and your money is very valuable. So by doing that, by cooking in batches, it really helps those three areas. Choose one day a week. So the example is Sunday, and that's what I used to do too. I would cook a big batch and then portion it up into different containers for the rest of the week. Chili stir fry, put them in containers, freeze the extras. Remember, we're talking about what do you have in your pantry already? What meals have you determined you want to use, and what are your resources? And then we're able to cook in batch and freeze and put away for a while. Label with the date. Most cook meals last about 2 to 3 months. 2 to 3 months in the freezer. So just real quick, some really great, you know what? We'll share this out because I skipped through it. And anyway, we're running through time. So, actually, let me see. Hold on, y'all. Technology can be tough for me. Oh, there we go. There we go. Some great batch cook meals: bean or lentil chili, soups and stews, brown rice, quinoa pasta, casseroles. I used to make a lot of casseroles. My family got tired of that. Lots of casseroles and baked pastas. So yeah.
My family never gets tired of casseroles.
Well, they did. They're like, another one? Like, listen, it's gonna last you a while, okay?
It's easy, it's convenient, and you
It
don't have to,
is.
you don't have to dirty up a lot of dishes.
No, and you can cook multiple and still save, put them in the freezer. So, but low cost does not have to mean boring. We know that. Low cost does not mean boring. So those pantry staples can turn into a lot of meals, like we were talking about earlier.
That chicken stir fry probably costs $2.
I swear, we're gonna all cook that. Or use a different protein source too if you have tofu or even black beans, navy beans, things like that. Still get your protein source. So some of those pantry power foods: rice, oats, canned beans, canned tomatoes, canned tuna, peanut butter, eggs, frozen veggies. Look what you can do with all that stuff. It's all the way listed up there. Rice, we can make so much stuff. Beans, we can make a lot more things. Canned tomatoes, I used to make pasta sauce. Yeah, I did, but then I started buying jarred. But you can still make pasta sauce from scratch. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
For those of you in the chat, who puts beans in their chili?
Oh,
I do. So I was just wondering.
I do too, but I've heard that's
There's a lot of people that
not
don't.
what you
so I was just
don't.
wondering.
I love that you asked
Let us
that.
know in the chat if you put beans, chili, beans, chili, no beans. I want to know.
And what is the right way?
And like, where are you originally from? If you
Yeah.
say no bean chili, are you Texan? I want to know.
I am not originally from Texas, so I put chili or I put beans in my chili. So,
But no meat. Michelle's a vegetarian.
yes, but no meat. I know. I've got
So
the all.
she has to get her protein from the beans.
Yes. So I'm exempt from that rule. Let's see, what else do we have? So just keep this in mind, y'all. Simple pantry staples can turn into some really, really good meals. And then some cooking storage tips, and then we'll wrap it up here in just a minute. So we've got some simple no refrigeration recipes also. I've got some examples to share with y'all as well. So look at this, no fridge ideas. Has anyone actually cooked any of these or assembled any of these? I'm sure maybe a tuna salad, peanut butter and banana, really, really good. Overnight oats, I love overnight. I love overnight oats. They're so good.
Too soft for me.
Oh, that's right. I figured that out the hard way. She does not. That's okay. We won't go there. But the Mediterranean grain bowl, look how simple. Sounds really fancy, but it's just canned lentils, tomatoes, olive oil, and seasonings with some quinoa maybe that you can warm up in the microwave for 90 seconds. So these are some really great, simple and cost-effective, no fridge for ideas for y'all. And then looking at substitution for expensive ingredients. Look at this list. So healthy eating does not have to mean expensive, okay? So many of the expensive superfoods have low cost, high nutrition substitutes. So pay attention to these. So you see the salmon? And then we have canned. It actually still it's still rich in omega-3s, and mix it with some pasta or veggies, getting your carbohydrates there. Those fruits, we talked about that. Same vitamins and a longer shelf life if frozen or canned. Just remember, what did we say? Canned in its own juice or water. Okay?
Yeah, and if you're getting the frozen and you open it up and you put it back in the freezer without eating all of it the first time, just make sure you consume it within, a few weeks,
Right.
because the longer it's going to be exposed to that frostbite, refreezing.
Frostbite.
Yeah.
Freezer burn.
Yeah. You know what I meant.
Or frostbite.
Words are hard. The longer that it, sits in the
Yeah.
freezer, it is gonna, lose some of those nutrients.
Right.
So you don't want to keep it in there for like a
Right.
year and find some blueberries in the bottom of your fridge and be like, it's still nutritious.
Even though it's like shriveled, because I've found some of those. I'm like, we can't use these anymore. But that's a really good point.
Yeah,
Try to
so
use
make
them
sure you're using them up.
in a timely manner. Quinoa is also high fiber, cooks really super easy, even if you did it on the stove or a microwave. Greek yogurt versus low-fat plain yogurt. Add some fruit or honey for some natural flavoring, etc., etc. So flavor swaps. Use vinegar. So you really want to look at that oil-based and not really the cream-based sauces to reduce the fat intake. So vinegar, herbs, garlic powder, lemon instead of bottled sauces. Just make your own salad dressing, oil, vinegar, seasonings, things like that.
I love some white wine or rice vinegar.
Right.
Rice vinegar.
Yes.
And white wine vinegar,
yeah.
but
both are very good. Both are very
vinegar
good.
is delicious. Just a little
Yeah,
bit of rice
yeah.
vinegar on a salad, so good.
Yeah, no, I love it. And then mindset is the other part of this equation, right? So knowing all this stuff and then mindset about changing your perspective and building confidence in small doable steps towards healthy living. So it can happen. You mentioned first thing off the bat, small steps. That's
Yeah.
all we're trying to plant. We're planting the seeds. You've got to water the rest. And that's going to be your mindset.
I love progress, not perfection, is one of the things that I always love to say. And then the other thing is just be intentional.
Right.
Have intention with everything that you do.
Absolutely. And knowing that fresh food, produce is, so some myths, we often think that fresh produce is always too expensive. Again, honing in, canned or frozen is just as good. You need healthy specialty foods. No, you don't. No, just get the basic stuff like we talked about, the stuff you can get canned, frozen. You don't need healthy, fancy stuff. Fast food is cheaper than cooking at home. You mentioned you can't even go to McDonald's for less than $20 a meal. Yeah. So your time is precious. Sitting in line, that's time. It's precious, and your money is precious, and your health is precious. So fast food is not cheaper than cooking at home. So really, that cooking at home is going to pay off in the long run, very much so. And just being mindful of time. It's just small changes make a huge impact. Okay. Once you build that confidence that, yeah, you know what, this is working for us.
Mhm.
It will become part of your lifestyle, and going out to eat will be, maybe just a thing of here and there and not an everyday thing. Anything you want to add to that? No?
No. Like I said, progress, not
Yeah.
perfection. You don't need
Yeah.
a perfect diet to improve your
No.
health. You just
No.
need consistency, a
Mhm.
consistent, balanced diet,
Right.
and just get moving in the right direction for that. Use these strategies that
Mhm.
Michelle talked about when you're at the grocery store, especially if you're like us and you live far
Right.
from a grocery store and you're having to make that trip into town to get groceries.
Mhm.
Be very intentional and very mindful, and try to practice some small steps until you get a little bit of confidence to
Yeah.
build up to do some bigger things.
Right. Love it. Okay.
Some key upcoming dates. If you have enjoyed this health huddle and you want to get more information like this and other topics, we are still doing our quarterly health huddles in 2026. Mark your calendars for January 8th, May 13th, July 30th, and November 19th. And then we do have our Healthy County Boot Camp. If you are a Healthy County coordinator or sponsor, please join us on February 11th through 13th in Georgetown. And then, as always, we have mid-year review season coming between February and June. So be looking out to hear from your employee benefits specialist or consultant on scheduling those mid-year reviews. And then in late May, we'll do a renewal webinar.
Yes.
And then on October 1st, we'll have our renewal released, or in late May, we will release our 10-win renewals.
Yeah. Whew, that's a lot.
Yeah,
Got a lot
lots
of
of
cool
things to
stuff.
look forward to.
So now we're going to open up to y'all. Hopefully you've had some questions generated from the conversation that we had. But I just want to point out too, there's the territory map, and you can see who your benefits consultant is, your wellness consultant, and then your benefits specialist. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.
And we are fully staffed. So we are happy that we
Yay.
have consultants in
Mhm.
all of the territories now. So yeah, be reaching out.
We've got Sharif in the studio, but
Sharif is in the studio.
he is in the studio. He's camera shy right now, though. So we'll say hello on behalf of Sharif. He's awesome. He's getting out in his territory, so y'all are very lucky. So, all right, Birol, what do we have going on in the chat?
Yes, someone asked if they will be able to watch this presentation later.
Yes, we will share the link once it is available. We'll share the link, and you can expect to have that come out soon.
No? Okay.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for your time. We really enjoyed spending some time with y'all today, and looking forward to being back on the road. I hope you all have a happy Thanksgiving and holiday season. Merry Christmas if we don't see you, and Happy New Year.
Bye, y'all.